Yo, it's your boy Jay Best and your boy Tyrell Randall. Welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, season 3, episode 23. On today's episode, we'll be giving our week 15 bets, then our week 15 picks, and we'll get y'all up out of here. All right, before I talk about anything, I want to thank God for waking us up this morning, allowing us to talk about sports, which is something that we love to do. And without Him, we would not be here right now. Tyrell, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get this thing started off with our week 15 bets. Like, I'm not going to lie, I have been on a cold streak as of late. So if you've been tailing my picks, I apologize, but it's the holiday season. So me and Tyrell are under pressure. I got to get the Christmas gifts right. So we got to get y'all parlays right. All right. So this week, I'm going to go ahead and start this thing off. And my first player prop that I like is Khalil Shakir over 55.5 receiving yards. All right. We saw him last week against an elite offense against the Rams, right, in a dome. So you got to worry about no weather. And we saw him have 5 catches for 106 yards. This week in a dome, going against an elite offense in the Lions, I expect them to have just as big of a game. It's Josh Allen's favorite target, and this game should be very high scoring, which means that this ball should be in the air a lot. Josh Allen Superman game, which means Khalil Shakir Superman game in the receiving game. All right, so that's my first pick for this week. Tyrell, who you got?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So my first pick is Anthony Richardson under 17.5 fantasy points this week. He's going against the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos have a really good defense. And anytime Anthony Richardson has went up against a good defense this year, he hasn't looked good at all. So I think Denver will get the best of him, and under 17.5 fantasy points is a lot.
Yep, I like that one a lot. I also saw where Anthony Richardson is not good against the blitz, and the Broncos blitz like the second most in the league. So that should be a really good matchup. Next, I got in the same game, Amon-Ra St. Brown over 68.5 receiving yards. Once again, I'm expecting this to be a high-scoring game, which means the ball is going to be in the air a lot. All right, last week we saw Puka Nacua have 12 catches for 162 yards against this Bills defense. So I'm expecting Amon-Ra St. Brown to have a big game again in a dome, right, in Detroit. No weather issues. And then also it's going to be high scoring. So I think Amon Ra and Khalil Shakir should both have big games in this big matchup. All right, who you got next?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So my second bet is Josh Allen over zero point 0.5 rushing receiving touchdowns. This is a lock. If you go back and look at his past 4 weeks, he has covered at least a touchdown. And like you just said, this is going to be a very high scoring game. We know how the Lions play. We know how Dan Campbell plays. He goes for it a lot on fourth downs. This game is going to come down to fourth downs, fourth and goals, and you got to go for it. And you know Josh Allen's that guy to go get in.
Yep, 100%. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Unfortunately, the Steelers play at the same time, so I won't be able to watch it like I want to. But it's gonna be a real big game. Next, I got CJ Stroud over 254.5 passing yards. All right. Against this Dolphins defense, in 5 of the last 7 games, this number has hit. Aaron Rodgers, who a lot of people call washed, and a lot of people say he's not doing good this year, had 339 passing yards against this defense. All right. Jordan Love had 274. Drake May didn't hit, but he had 222. Gardner Minshew, who's not playing no more, but he has not been good this year, 282 passing yards. Matthew Stafford, 293. Josh Allen had 235. And then Kyler Murray, 307. So if it's not hitting, it's very close. And like I said, in 5 of the last 7 games, this number is hit. So I'm trusting CJ Stroud after the bye, right, to get it together. And they should have a big game against a Dolphins offense that can also put up points. So it might be a barn burner, right? It might be a back and forth matchup where I think CJ Stroud in a controlled environment, once again in a dome. Don't worry about weather or nothing like that. I think he can have a big game with his passing yards. All right, who you got next, Tyrell?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So then I'm gonna go next to your boy. This is somebody you put in your parlay last week. It's Cortland Sutton over 70.5 receiving yards. If you go back and look at it, he's covered at 70 yards the past 6 weeks. And go and look at it. The Colts have a bottom five passing defense in the league. I, I can't really name a corner over there besides Kellen Moore, so I think it's gonna be a big game for Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix back there.
Yeah, I like that. I'm surprised that number is still low. I'm surprised Vegas hasn't learned yet, but
Yes,
as
sir.
long as it's staying around 70, keep hitting that number. All right. Next got Garrett Wilson over 59.5 receiving yards. Like you said with Cortland Sutton playing a bad passing defense, this Jaguars defense is bad. They're allowing the second most passing yards. They're allowing 8 yards per attempt. All right. And Garrett Wilson is getting at least 6 targets a game. So if you just do the math off back, 6 times 8, that's 48. I'm asking for 59.5. Every catch not going to be 8 yards. It's going to be more than that. So a floor of 48 yards. I'm looking for 11 more yards to get to 59. Well, 12 more yards to get to 60. I think this is going to hit. All right, last week he had 7 catches for 114. This week it's a bad secondary. I believe he's gonna have a big game. If he doesn't have a big game, it's because Devontae Adams had a big game. Last week they both had 100 yards, so it's very possible they both can hit. But I like Garrett Wilson this week against a bad secondary in Jacksonville. All right, who you got next?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So next, I got Derrick Henry over point 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. He hasn't covered this number in a couple weeks, but if you go and look, the Giants have one of the worst rushing defense in the league. When it comes to red zone defense, they have the worst red zone defense in the league. So that means they're giving up a lot of points down there. And this is just going to be a shootout. If you go look at the line's negative 1,800. So I think Baltimore is going to be running up and down the field all game, and Derrick Henry's bound to get at least 2 touchdowns. So over 0.5 rushing receiving touchdowns.
Yeah,
Hope his
I like
MVP
that one
case
a lot.
out.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Last but not least, my money line is gonna be the Broncos. All right. After bye week, Sean Payton in his career is 10-6 following the bye. So when good coaches have bye weeks, they really use that to their advantage. And 9 times out of 10, they come out and they get a W. And they're not playing that good of a team in Indianapolis, and they're at home. So I really like this a lot. And then, as I said, I think I picked them their money line over the past couple of weeks, and I've told y'all they do not lose to teams below 500. They are 7-0 versus teams below 500. I love teams that can take care of the bad teams. So I'm expecting Sean Payton and Bo Nix at home to get this W against the Colts. Lock that in for your money line, Tyrell.
Yes, sir. And last but not least, I got the Commanders over the Saints this weekend. Let's just face it, this Saints team isn't good, and this Commanders team is been losing a lot more games than it should. And like I mentioned earlier, I think this Commanders team is better than what their record says. And also, we got Marshawn Lattimore coming back for the Commanders. Then Derek Carr broke something in his arm last week, and Taysom Hill tore his ACL last week. So I think the Saints are just ready to throw in the white flag, and I think the Commanders win this by a landslide.
Yep, I like that pick a lot. All right, so there's our week 15 bets. Like I said, a lot of pressure on us. All right, we're getting close to Christmas time. Everybody buying gifts. Lock these picks in and get your money up before it's time to go holiday shopping. All right, next, let's get into our week 15 picks. All right, on the year, I am 129-80. That's not bad at all. So let's try and keep this thing going. All right, on Thursday, I picked the Rams over the 49ers in that low scoring game, but the Rams was able to pull it out. The first game this week we'll talk about is the Chiefs and the Browns. Tyrell, who you got?
Yes, sir. I got the Chiefs winning this game. I feel like if they want to win the AFC and get that first round bye, this is a game they can't afford to lose, especially with Buffalo right behind them and Pittsburgh right behind them.
Yep. This game gonna have inclement weather, so I'm not expecting a lot of passing. But I think this is a game that Isaiah Pacheco kind of get back under his feet. He came back a couple weeks ago, and he's playing more and more every single week. I think this is the game where he has that big Pacheco game because of the weather, and that opens up another dynamic for this offense. And the Browns, hey, Jameis continues to make mistakes that cost his team. And like I said, against the Chiefs, I'm gonna pick the Chiefs, but the spread, I would take the spread against the Chiefs any week because they always win in close games. They always winning games by a field goal or last second, whatever. So I would definitely take the spread in this one. But straight up, I'm definitely taking the Chiefs. All right. Next, we got the Bengals and the Titans. Who you got?
Yes, sir. So I got the Bengals winning this game. I saw something earlier this week that I sent to you. It said the Bengals would have to win out in order to get to the playoffs. And I
Yeah.
feel like Joe Burrow is just too good of a player, too good of a quarterback to not make the playoffs. So I got him winning out, and it starts this week with the Tennessee Titans. You got to handle the bad teams.
100%. That's one thing they've done this year, right? All their wins are against bad teams. So I'm expecting that trend to keep going. They should be the Titans. Look, the Titans are a team that gave up a win to Mac Jones last week. So there's no excuse for Joe Burrow and this offense to not put up crazy numbers against this Titans team. And if they don't win this game, like you said, the season is over. So they should know that in the back of their head. They should play with some sense of urgency. So I got the Bengals win this game on the road in Tennessee. All right, next is that matchup you was talking about, the Commanders and the Saints. Tell us why, more so why you picked the Commanders.
Yes, sir. So the Saints, we really don't have no weapons. We have Alvin Kamara, but all teams have been doing is stacking the box against him. We don't have Alvin Kamara. I mean, we don't have Chris Olave. We don't have Rashid Shaheed. We don't have Taysom Hill. We don't have our two starting O linemen. Derek Carr is out. Alontae Taylor's hurt. We just have injuries all around the board, and then on top of that, the Commanders have to get into the playoffs. If you go and look at the wild card standings right now, they're fighting for their division, but right now they're in the fifth seed, the last seed of the playoffs. So
Yeah.
they're fighting with the Rams, they're fighting with the Falcons. They need this game right here. They can't afford to lose this game against this team.
Yeah, so I was flirting with the upset if Derek Carr was gonna play or if he didn't get hurt. I was flirting with it, but since he's not playing, I'm definitely going with the Commanders. All right, like you said, the Commanders have to win this game because there's a lot of heat behind them. Right, the Rams are fighting for the division, but they can also just make the wild card. So this Commanders team has teams that are pushing up behind them. The records are very, very close in the NFC. So like you said, you're going to get a team that's beat up. There's a lot of injuries, right? A team that fired their head coach, really not playing for nothing. So you got to take care of these games, and it's in a dome. So once again, not worried about weather, anything like that. Jaden Daniels played at LSU, so it's kind of like a homecoming. Him coming back to Louisiana to play in this game. So I'm expecting him to have a good one and get the W over the Saints. All right, next we got the Ravens and the Giants. I know who you got. Just tell us why.
Yes, sir. So I got the Ravens winning because they're coming off a bye week, and coming off they're coming off a game where they took a loss to the Steelers, and that was a tough loss. Usually the Ravens have been division leaders. Usually they've been fighting for the first seed. I feel like they're still going to be in that conversation this year. I feel like in order to be one of those great teams, you have to take care of the bad teams. And it's week 15 right now. It's starting to heat up to playoff ball. I think this is a game you got to win. And the Giants, come on, it's the Giants, man. They're fighting for Shadur Sanders right now.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest reason why I'm picking Ravens is because the Giants, right? This Giants team to me just doesn't pose a threat. There's no like for people that like to pick upsets. There's nothing in this matchup for you to say the Giants can exploit this or the Giants can do this. There's nothing they can do, right? Starts at the QB position. They don't got a QB right now, and then the O line's not good. Their weapons they can't get the ball from elite neighbors, right? And you won't be able to run the ball against this Ravens team. So this Ravens team should have a huge win against the Giants on Sunday. All right. Next, we got the Cowboys and the Panthers. And actually, the Panthers are favored. I think this is the first time in Bryce Young's career that he's been favored. So, Tyrell, who you got?
Yes, sir. So I actually do have the Panthers winning. I think Bryce Young's the better quarterback, 100%. I think they're playing on home field right now, and I just think that Cowboys team is one of the worst teams in the league, just like the Panthers are. But I feel like it's going to be a home game. The Panthers are heating up. Bryce Young's playing with a lot of confidence, and the Cowboys they have players walking off the field before the game's even over. So I think they know the season's over. I think give me the Panthers by a long slide.
Yeah. So, I'm feeling you. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. But I'm just going to kind of, sometimes you gotta pick an upset eventually. Right. And I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one only because I think Dallas is not a good team, in my honest opinion. But going into this year, nobody really had Dallas being a bottom five team, bottom 10 team. I think they'll be this bad. I thought it would be bad, but not this bad. But for you not to be favored against the Panthers, for this to be the first game in Bryce Young's career where he's favored, you should take offense to that, right? So I'm picking this based on emotion. I think the Cowboys got to be offended by that, and they got to come into Carolina and get a W. All right, I think CeeDee Lamb should have a big day. He should, right? And I feel very skeptical about this. I'm not too confident, but I think they should take offense to being underdogs against the Panthers because the Panthers. Bryce Young has come a long way. Don't get it twisted. We've seen him progress every single week, but I still don't think the Panthers are a good team at all. The two bad teams, but I'm gonna take the Dallas Cowboys to get the upset on the road. All right. Next we got the Jets and the Jaguars. Who you got?
Yes, sir. So I got the Jets coming out and winning this game. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is just a way better quarterback than Mac Jones, even though he's at the bottom part of his career. I think the Jaguars winning last week against the Titans was a fluke game. I feel like the Jets are just a way, way, way better team. They have all the weapons, they have the defense to go behind it. And I just feel like when it comes to next season, both of these teams are looking towards next season, but they're also looking towards bragging rights. You know what I'm saying? So I got the Jets coming through and winning it 100%. I don't think Mac Jones can get it done. And I think the Jaguars have thrown in the towel 100%.
Yeah, they got to be. I have not picked the Jets since they lost to the Patriots, and that was a couple weeks ago. But this is the first time I'm gonna go back and pick the Jets. All right. Look, last week they put up a fight against the Miami Dolphins. They ended up losing, but this week going against Mac Jones, for crying out loud. Like, come on now. Like, you gotta get this W if you're the Jets. I mean, it's not you're not fighting for nothing, right? But you can't just let bad teams beat you. And I think that looking at on paper, the Jets team is way better than this Jaguars team on paper. The Jets have not played like they're supposed to, but I think the Jets should get a good W against Jacksonville. The weather should be good, so it shouldn't be no problem. Aaron Rodgers come off a 300-yard passing game. The secondary is not good, so Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams should eat. I think they should get the W this week. All right. Next we got the Dolphins and the Texans in Houston. Who you got?
Yes, sir. So I got the Dolphins winning because I feel like Tua Tagovailoa this year has been a way better player than CJ Stroud. If you go look at the numbers, he has 17 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I know you're not too big of a fan of Tua, but this is going to
Yeah.
be played inside. It's going to be played indoors. He doesn't have to worry about any wind. He doesn't have to worry about any weather restrictions. I think this will be a big game for the Dolphins. And like I mentioned earlier, in order for them to get in the playoffs, also the same as the Bengals, they have to win out. And I think this team is just way too good to not make the playoffs. And this is a game they have to go win.
Yep, I agree from that aspect. I'm gonna go with the Texans only because the Texans have to show us that they're a good team. I think this year they've been up and down, and nobody's really fearing the Texans. Remember, coming into this year, people thought the Texans was gonna be in the AFC Championship, and of course that was with Stephon Diggs. I understand he got hurt, but you have to show us that you are above the teams that are struggling. Like this Dolphins team on paper is good, but they've been struggling. So the Texans, you got to show us that you're amongst the elite teams in the AFC. You got to. It is a big game. Come off the bye, get the win at home. CJ Stroud, like I said earlier, should be successful against this Dolphins secondary. All right, next we got the Colts and the Broncos in Denver. Who you got?
Yes, sir. So I'm going with the home team here. Like we both mentioned earlier, the Broncos are 7-0 against teams that are below 500. You mentioned earlier Anthony Richardson is terrible against the blitz, and the Broncos blitz the second most in the league. So I 100% got the Broncos defending their home turf and winning this game against Anthony Richardson and the Colts. I think this is a game they also have to win, especially with the way the AFC standings are right now. It's just way too close to lose these type of games right now.
Yep, I got the Broncos. Like I said, it's just something about I love when teams take care of their business. Right, whenever you're favored, going against bad teams, take care of your business. Most of the time, that leads to the playoffs because a lot of teams that miss the playoffs, you lose games you're not supposed to lose. But this team wins games they're supposed to win. And I love that Sean Payton after the bye is a monster, 10-6. And like you said, take care of the business. All right. So I got the Broncos win this game at home. Now these next two matchups are huge. All right. We got the Bills and the Lions in Detroit. Who you got?
Hey, so I got the Lions winning this game. I think the Bills they have a mid defense, but the one part that they really struggle at is the run defense. And the one thing that the Lions do really well is run the ball. So if the Bills can't stop the run, which they can't do, which we watched them all season, we watched them not be able to stop the run all season. So they won't be able to stop the run, and I think that's just going to open up so many passing lanes for the Lions, and Jared Goff is just going to eat. Mac Johnson's just gonna eat.
Yep. I'm going with you. Got the Lions. It's going to take Josh Allen to have a heroic performance. Like last week, we saw him have a big game and they still lost. It's going to take them to have a huge game for them to win this game. I just don't see that happening back-to-back weeks. But I do think it's going to be high scoring, 100%. But in order for them to win, he has to be perfect. And Josh Allen hasn't thrown no picks this year. We know he's doing a good job taking care of the ball. But a pick in this game can cost you the game. So he has to be perfect for them to win. Detroit just has a lot. Now, Detroit on the defensive side of the ball have a lot of injuries. Can the Bills exploit that? We'll see. But I got to go with the Lions at home to get this W against the Bills. All right, next, another big matchup, the Steelers and the Eagles. Who you got?
Yes, sir. So you remember earlier you said you got to pick upset sometime, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be cold out there in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, right next to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
They're used to this weather. I think the Eagles they've been really hot. I think they're on what 11-game win streak, 10-game win streak. Really hot. They gotta fall
Something
off
like that.
eventually.
9 or 10, something like that, yeah.
They gotta fall off. They gotta fall off eventually, and I think that'll be this week. And the Steelers, they're defending their division right here. They can't lose this game. They're trying to fight for the bye too. They want a really high seed too. They want a playoff game too at home. You know, so you got to pick an upset. I got the Steelers coming in Philadelphia and winning. That's their home turf.
Man, I love that pick. The only reason I'm pumping the brakes a little bit is because last week we saw the Steelers play without George Pickens. Took them a half to figure it out. Second half, they looked good. No George Pickens this week, but you're going against a team in the Eagles that can put up points, right? Our defense is good, but they can still put up points. So I'm kind of nervous about this one. I love the spread. 5.5. I love that all day for the Steelers. So take that plus 5.5 all day. But I'm gonna pick the Eagles. I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna pick the Eagles. I think that with the whole drama thing with AJ Brown and all that, that could lead to some mistakes. Because I think they have not been passing the ball a lot, and that allows Jalen Hurts to not throw interceptions, and they run the ball a lot. So if they start forcing the ball to AJ, could lead to turnovers, right? That could help us out a lot. But I do got the Eagles winning this game. Of course, I'm rooting for the Steelers, but I'm gonna just play it safe, and I'm gonna pick the Eagles at home. All right, next we got the Patriots and the Cardinals. Who you got?
Yes, sir. I got the Cardinals winning this game. I think they're a way better team than what they put out the last 3 weeks. They've lost two division games against the division leader. Then they've lost to the Vikings, who's at the top of the NFC right now. So I think Kyler Murray's been playing really, really good this season, and the Patriots have not been playing really good. So I got the Arizona Cardinals handling business at home. If you go and look and do your homework, Kyler Murray has handled his business against the bad teams this year. He hasn't lost against the bad teams. So I got them for sure coming out and winning this game. And they're on a 3-game losing streak, and they gotta stop that if they want to make the playoffs.
100%. I don't feel comfortable picking the Patriots against anybody. They're just not ready yet, right? They got their quarterback, but outside of Drake, they don't have nothing. I think Kyler Murray should have a big game this week. A bounce back game. Last week he didn't look too good. A bounce back game against a bad team. They're still alive for the playoffs, right? They lost two important games to the Seahawks over the past 3 weeks, but they're still alive for the wild card. They're still alive to even win their division if things fall their way. They need people to lose, but you got to take care of your business first before you worry about anybody else. So they got to win this game. It's a must-win game for the Cardinals if they do want to try and make a playoff push. So I got the Cardinals. All right. Next we got the Chargers and the Buccaneers. Who you got?
Yes, sir. I got the Buccaneers winning. I got the Chargers winning this game. I'm so sorry. I got the
Okay.
Buccaneers. I got the Buccaneers getting absolutely killed because the offense just isn't good. Bucky Irvin, he's a good player, but Baker Mayfield, he just hasn't showed me that he's that guy still. And I think that Chargers defense is really, really good, and they're gonna shut that Buccaneers offense down. Then going to the other side of the ball, Justin Herbert's been playing some really, really good football. The Chargers in general just been playing a lot of really, really good football. So I definitely got them coming out winning this game at home, handling business. And like I said, that AFC race is so tight that
Yeah.
if the Chargers lose this game, it could be their season, you know. So this is a must-win game for them.
Huge. I agree 100%. I got the Chargers. Huge must-win game. This Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is winning games, but they're beatable. They're very beatable. They're not fully healthy. They're missing Chris Godwin right now. They have Mike Evans back, but this team is very beatable. The defense is not that great to me. I think they're well coached by Todd Bowles, but they're not that great. Justin Herbert can exploit them a little bit. And like you said, it's a huge game that they got to win to kind of keep that lead a little bit. And this is also a team in the Chargers that beats the bad teams, right? They always take care of their business. So knowing this is a big win, it's kind of like a playoff game almost. They should treat every game going out for the rest of the season as a playoff game. You got to win to keep your spot. So it's a good spot to be in because you're going against the Buccaneers team, like I said, that is very beatable. So the Chargers should win this game for sure. All right, Sunday night, we got a big NFC matchup. Two teams that, once again, you got to win these games. The Packers at Seattle. Who you got?
Yeah, so I got the Packers coming out winning this game. This game is gonna come down to the fourth quarter, and it's gonna come down to the last drive. That's how close this game is gonna be. And I think Jordan Love's the better player. I think he's gonna come through. He's gonna get the dub. The weather in Pittsburgh, I mean, the weather in Seattle shouldn't matter too much because Green Bay faces the same weather challenges, if not even colder, even wetter. You know, so I
Yeah.
got I got the Packers, Josh Jacobs, and I got them coming through, and I got them beating Seattle. You know, like we said earlier, the NFC is so tight too that like they can't afford to lose this game either. So
Yep.
the Rams are right behind them, the Falcons are right behind them, Commanders right behind them. Like they have to win this game.
Yep. And it's so the NFC is so tight to the point where I think if the Seahawks lose this game, the Rams will be ahead of them, which means the Rams will be leading the division, and the Seahawks will fall out the playoff picture, I think. So this is a huge must-win game, but I got the Packers. I'm gonna stick with what I've been saying all year. I don't trust Geno in the biggest moments. I just don't. I picked them to lose to the Cardinals. They beat them twice, but I'm gonna stick with my gut. I don't trust Geno. I feel like he's a guy that can kind of throw a game away if you let him throw the ball too much, and they love throwing the ball. And I think the Packers, coming off that loss against the Lions, right? They got to get this W. They got to stay where they are as well. So I got the Packers winning this game. I think they have the better coach and the better quarterback in this matchup.
And no Kenneth Walker.
And Kenneth Walker not playing. Boom, that too. Yeah, but it should be a good one, though. Should be a good one, but I just don't trust Geno in big games, all right? We got a double header on Monday night. The first game will be the Bears and the Vikings. Who you got?
Yes, sir. So I got the Vikings winning this game. They have probably the best schematically defense in the league, if you ask me. They know how to take quarterbacks out of the game plans. They know how to. Every quarterback that's won against the Minnesota Vikings this year has had a terrible game. They make quarterbacks have terrible games. So I'm trusting Brian Flores to shut Caleb Williams down, and I expect Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison to stay on fire again. I got them winning at home, especially if they want to win the division.
Yeah, I like and hey, they're right behind. They're right behind the Lions, right? So the Lions, let's say the Lions lose to the Bills, right? They're one game behind. Lions lose to the Bills and they win this game. We're talking about a dog fight for that division. So I think this is like you said, a lot of must-win games this week because of positioning, because of seeding. So I got the Vikings winning this game. The Bears played them close a couple weeks ago. But I just can't. I can't pick the Bears. Now I would take the spread though. I would take the spread. I think it's gonna be close. All NFC North games have been close this year. I got the Vikings coming out on top. They've been squeaking by everybody. Last week they won by a lot because Kirk Cousins threw the game away. But prior to that, they was beating teams like they beat Jacksonville one week 12-7. Right, they barely beat the Bears one week. Right, so they've been squeaking by teams. But I think they'll go ahead and get the W at home against a Bears team that's been struggling as of late. All right. And then last but not least, on Monday Night Football, we got the Falcons and the Raiders. Who you got?
Yes, sir. So I was kind of 55-45 on this one,
Yeah,
just because Desmond Ritter's going against the Falcons, trying to get his revenge game back, and
yeah.
Kirk Cousins has been playing so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to pick that much of an upset. I'm going to actually pick the Falcons to win this game,
Yep.
just because they're on a 5-game losing streak, and they're in a 4-game losing streak, and the race that they're in for the NFC South, they could possibly win the division and still have a home playoff game. You
Yeah.
know, they're literally right there for the division. They can't afford to lose this game, especially if they're the team that they say they are. They just gave Kirk Cousins all this money. There's no way he can't make the playoffs at 10-7. There's no way. You can't lose this game right here. You can't. To
Yeah.
the quarterback they just gave up, you can't lose this game. You cannot lose this game. You can't.
100% agree. I think a lot of our picks this week has been more feelings over facts, right? Because of the time of year it is, because teams got to win games. They want to stay in the playoffs or get in the playoffs. So same with the Falcons. The Bucks are playing the Chargers, right? The Bucks are one game ahead. They can lose that game. So the Falcons, you got to take care of business against a Raiders team that's not good. Like you said, Kirk cannot lose to Desmond. It just cannot happen. All right. So I got the Falcons winning on Monday Night Football in Vegas. They better win. That's all I gotta say. Because they don't, it's gonna be a lot of heat on Kirk Cousins for sure.
If they don't eat that contract the next 3 years, eat it. Just cut them. Eat it.
Get it?
Eat the contract. If they lose that game, eat it. Eat the contract.
You might as well. Like that's why I wasn't a big fan of drafting Michael Penix because of the decision you gotta make. You gotta make a decision now for sure. If you didn't draft Michael Penix, you gotta ride it out. But now you drafted Michael Penix, there's so much pressure on y'all to make the right decision. And like you said, they lose this game, you might as well go to Penix. It ain't gonna hurt you, right? So yeah, that's how we feel about that. But that is it for today's episode, man. Look, next week on the 18th, tune in. I got huge news. Huge news. It's gonna result in somebody winning a lot of money. All right. So y'all make sure y'all tune in on the 18th. It's your boy Jay Best, your boy Tyrell. Enjoy the holidays. Lock in those bets so y'all can go and do your holiday shopping. All right, but much love, much blessings. We out.